Okay, first of all, don't forget tonight is Rosh Chodesh, so don't forget Ya'aleh V'Yaveh. A few things. Number one, next week this Saturday night we changed the clock 1 hour back. So Mincha next week is going to be 4:55, 5 to 5. Which means, not that you can't come to Mincha, it's a little bit more difficult to come to Mincha. But it's not impossible. If you have to come, you come. That's the thing. Now, before we go back, I just want to mention an interesting issue. Tonight, as everybody knows, there's something called Halloween. Now, the question is, in halacha, what's a Jew's connection to Halloween? Is it forbidden? Is it not forbidden? Are you allowed to go trick and treat? So, generally speaking, Halloween is rooted, even though it's a song, it's not. It says replace. That was Father's Day, Mother's Day, and Mother-in-law Day. Halloween is, I don't know if the word is satanic or satanic, whatever, but it is rooted, even though nowadays people don't look at it that way, it's connected to religious, a day you get dressed up like in crazy costumes and you act crazy. And you go around getting free candy. That's, or money, whatever. But it is rooted in Christianity or satanic cults. So therefore, according to halacha, Halloween is rooted in Avodah Zarah, even though it's not looked at it that way. Therefore, if you ask a shayla, can your kids go trick and treat? The answer is no, they're not allowed. But now the question is, and this I got a bunch of phone calls today from shluchim in different places, and that is, you live in a non-Jewish community, a shliach especially, there's people are not religious, and there are a lot of goyim there, and you're friendly with your neighbors, and then your neighbors come knocking on your door, trick and treat. So what do? So the best thing is that you leave candies on the porch. Let them come and take. So you're not giving them directly, they're not opening the door and say, So you're doing it, they have it on the porch if the kids come to your neighborhood. It depends where you live. If the kids are coming to your neighborhood, you just put candy out on the porch and let them take it. Because then you're not,
You do that, only the first kid gets any because he takes it all.
No, not today, they don't. Even the parents don't let the kids take so much with them. Whatever. But anyway, the bottom line is that Halloween is not a festivity for Jews. And then there's another issue, which is, I don't know if Halloween unofficially is connected to witchcraft, which is again Avodah Zarah. Even reading books, I know I'm going to get criticized for this, but even I'll give you an example, Harry Potter and all those types of books. If you want to be serious, halachically it's questionable if you're allowed to read them, because it's all about witchcraft, which is according to halacha is biblically forbidden. So people say, no, but the reality is it is witchcraft, it is rooted in witchcraft. I said a number of times that in 1984 when the Olympics were in LA, so there was a Chabad shliach here in the city that there was a Neshei Chabad, not a shluchas convention, but there was a Neshei Chabad convention in New York, and they asked him to speak at the Neshei Chabad convention in New York. So he thought, great, he's going to speak about the Olympics, a lesson from the Olympics in serving Hashem. How do you serve Hashem from the Olympics? So afterwards, they wrote up his whole speech. They put it into a Chabad magazine, which was edited completely. But all the articles were edited by the Rebbe in Yiddish, and English articles were edited by the Rebbe. And the Rebbe saw this article, and the Rebbe answered. Though it was like a long article, mostly 90% of it was about the Olympics and the lesson you learned from the Olympics. So the Rebbe answered the newsletter, so to speak, that hello you do, first, and don't you know that the Olympics are rooted in idol worshipping in the Greek, that's where it originated from. So the Rebbe said, take out everything in the speech that had to do with the Olympics. So he's left with 10% of his speech instead of 90%. So even though somebody can ask somebody today, what are the Olympics? Ask somebody today, what are the Olympics? The Olympics are games in between competition between countries. That nobody thinks of Halloween, of the Olympics as something rooted in Avodah Zarah. Yeah, maybe 1,000 years ago it was, but the Rebbe said no, it's rooted in Avodah Zarah. It's still Avodah Zarah, and take it out. What?
So I heard, actually, I think it was from a Chabad rabbi, that nights where there's a lot of tumah, like for example December 24th or whatever it is, maybe you shouldn't be learning so much Torah.
No, that's only December 24th at night we don't learn. And only from sundown to midnight. Halachic midnight, and then it doesn't matter. Yeah.
What's the difference between, say, witchcraft and a magic show?
First of all, witchcraft was real. Witchcraft was real. Even though the Rambam writes, it's very interesting because everybody disagrees with the Rambam based on Gemara, but the Rambam writes that witchcraft is stupid, it's fake, there's nothing real about it, it's for fools. The Rambam writes very sharp expressions about it, but nevertheless, most of the Rishonim disagree with the Rambam, and they say, what do you mean? The Gemara talks about witchcraft. It was Avraham Avinu taught his Hagar's kids, the Siman Shem Tum and Masulem, he taught him witchcraft. So witchcraft, but there's a difference between fake witchcraft, which is, i.e. magic shows today, and just for the record, a lot of poskim and halacha today hold you're not allowed to do a magic show, even a fake one. Some poskim write today that if you announce beforehand that this is not real magic, and real magic is forbidden according to Torah. This is what they say, you have to announce before you have a magic show, by a birthday party. That those people that permit it, because in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch it says that a Jew is not allowed to do even fake magic. If a guy is doing it, a Jew is allowed to go watch it. That's what Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says, in Hilchos Avodah Zarah. But not everybody agrees with that. But anyway, there's still a fundamental difference between real witchcraft and what?
Did the Rebbe ever speak about October 31st, like in that you remember?
Not that I remember.
Robert, just a quick
What?
question. But the Torah tells you that if a person practices witchcraft, it's chayav misa. So there must
Right.
be something very, very powerful. But the Rambam.
There is, but they asked that. I'm telling you, they all the poskim rip apart the Rambam. How can he say such a thing? And to try to answer the Rambam what he meant. But the bottom line is, witchcraft is biblically forbidden. It's rooted in Avodah Zarah. What?
Why do you leave out candies? Why not just turn off your lights and not eat it altogether? Not to create a sorrow?
Because if you live in dream world, you could do La La Land. You could do that. When a shliach has neighbors, and they know they're home, and the cars are there, and this, so in Beverly Hills you could turn off your lights.
Put a sign that says when trick-or-treating.
Yeah, it's unrealistic. You see the neighbors. It's a very difficult thing. I'm telling maybe 10 calls today from Shluchim what to do with the Halloween, because they live in non-Jewish areas. Even Jewish kids are going trick-or-treating.
Maybe pull the Jewish kids in and tell them, hey, this was
Good idea. Okay, what? What?
World Series and a parade on Friday.
Is that Avodah Zarah?
Is there anything on?
To go to the parade? The president of the Dodgers and the partial owner's son is a Chabad Bal Tshuva.
That's why they
He
won.
went to the oil to daven for the Dodgers.
That's why they won.
And they won.
The score was 7-7-0. 7-7 runs and 0.
Okay.
What about the comedy show?
What?
Comedy show.
Comedy show, if it's clean, you can go.
It's never
Today, it's never clean today. Unless you have a frum guy doing a comedy show. Anyway, let's not get off topic. The answer to, are you allowed to go to the World Series parade? Are you allowed to go to a baseball game?
Yeah, of course they're up.
So, are you allowed to, it happens to be one of the cleanest activities that you could take kids to because you sit in your seat and that's it. Everything else is pritzes and proskite and, there's nothing wrong. If you worship it, then it's a shaila of worshipping Avodah Zarah. It doesn't have Avodah Zarah, doesn't have to mean idol. The idol could be sports, it could be actors, it could be movies, it could be anything.
What does worship mean in this context?
Worship means that it takes over your life. People worship their cell phones also. I mean, it's bottom line, it's Avodah Zarah. What? I don't hear you.
Football.
Baseball's better.
No pigskin.
Okay, next let's get back to Kiddush. Okay, so we learned yesterday that you can make Kiddush on Yayin Mevushal. Okay, men are obligated in Kiddush, women are obligated in Kiddush. We explained why. Now, the din is like this. The cup that you use for Kiddush has to be a complete cup. It can't be broken, it can't be chipped. It has to be a complete cup. It has to be holding at least 3 ounces of wine. That's the revius of wine, is at least 3 ounces. And it's interesting, there are some poskim today that want to say, but most people disagree with them if there's nothing else, that you shouldn't make Kiddush on a paper cup. Because it's not a choshev, it's not a prominent thing. But everybody holds today that if you have a plastic cup, a paper cup, and that's what you have, you're allowed to make Kiddush on it. It's not a problem. It has to be clean. It has to be rinsed inside and outside. Now, that doesn't mean, let's say last Saturday night you washed out the becher, and then you put it away in the closet. Now you take it out again for Kiddush. Halachic, you don't have to wash it again, it says, because it was washed already. But one second, what happens though, if you made Kiddush and somebody wants to use your same becher, the same Kiddush cup, then you don't have to wash it because it was just used for Kiddush. What?
I thought they have to be wet when they do
Sephardic custom is to have put a drop of water, but forget, our custom is that the becher is dry. The Rebbe always used to take, before the Rebbe made Kiddush, the becher was clean, but the Rebbe took his napkin and dried the inside, even though it was dry already. But the Rebbe took and dried the inside of the becher. By Sephardim, there's an inyan of pouring a little bit of water into the wine, and there's 2 reasons for that. Number 1 is because in the Gemara's expression is always meizgen loikes. When the Gemara speaks about the 4 cups of wine, or the Gemara speaks about Kiddush, the expression in the Gemara is meizgen leikos. Meizgen leikos means meziga is the wine of time of the Gemara was very, very strong. You couldn't drink it. It was not drinkable. So in order to make the wine drinkable, they used to mix water with it. Today's wines are mixed, according probably to the maximum that halacha allows wines to be mixed, unless it's the very expensive wines. So in the time of the Gemara, they used to pour water into the wine to make it drinkable. So because of that, some have a tradition, you have a little bit of water in the wine from, one second, that's one reason. Another reason I was told that Sephardim put water into, at least at the bottom of the cup, because wine is red, is gevura, and water is chesed. So you want to sweeten the gevura of the red wine by putting in a drop of water. That's the reason I was told why they do it. But our custom is that the becher should be dry. I mean, not dafka, it's no Chabad custom. What?
The Rancine is saying, at least by Persians, they would do something called a chitza, where we fill it up 3 times and pour it out. And I think that's rooted in Kabbalah. But that's, I'm just saying, where you see water at the bottom of the cup, that's because
They wash it 3 times to pick Kabbalah. Could be, I don't know. I never heard it, but I don't know. I will confess again, there's more things that I don't know than I do know, by far. And I didn't hear it. That doesn't mean it doesn't say it anywhere. Okay, what?
A knife, you call it a Shabbos knife or a word.
I don't know. Okay, that's Papa is a Kiddush and Abdullah. Okay, now there's another din that when you make Kiddush, you're supposed to cover the halachos. The halachos should be covered. Halachically, there's 2 reasons for that, which is really the 2 reasons cause a halachic difference. There's a halachic difference between the 2 reasons. One reason is because normally when you drink wine and cake, for instance, or wine and challah, first you're supposed to, let's speak cake and wine. So a person sitting down to have a farbrengen, they're going to have you a piece of cake and some wine. Halachically, you make a bracha on the cake first, then the wine. Why? Because in the pasuk it says eretz chita u'se'era then geffen. Okay, so wheat and barley come before geffen. Okay, even though it means grapes, but it means also very piagav. So now technically, if you're sitting down, you're supposed to have first the bracha on the cake and then the bracha on the wine. But you're not allowed to eat before Kiddush. So you can't eat the cake or the challah before you make Kiddush. So therefore we cover the challahs, as it says in the expression, not to embarrass the bread, not to embarrass the challah. There's an argument in Poskim, if you make Kiddush on Mezainis, do you have to or not? The logic is that you would have to, because again, it's the same reason applies. That's one reason. But there's another reason why we cover the challahs. It says the two challahs correspond with the mon, the double mon that fell on Shabbos. And we know the mon, it says in Chumash, was covered with dew underneath, and then the mon, and there was dew over it. Right? Towel under the mon and over the mon. So it says in halacha that one of the reasons you cover the challahs, not only on top, but also at the bottom, it says in halacha, you shouldn't put challah directly on the table without a napkin or a cover, a tablecloth, whatever, because the man was covered on top and bottom. So because the two challahs represent the man, so you cover the challahs. But then the reason wouldn't apply to cake. But what's the difference between these two reasons? The halachic difference is, when can I uncover the challah? If it's not to embarrass the challah, then the second I make Kiddush, I can take off the cover. Doesn't have to be covered anymore. If the reason is because the man was covered, and do challahs represent the man, then according to that, until after I make a meitzi, the challah should be covered. So these are the two reasons. Even though the Alter Rebbe says you could take off the cover right after Kiddush. What?
Based on both of the reasons, should it matter if the challah is on the table or in a different room?
No, if it's a different room, it's not there. It's not present.
I mean, like, you could just not have challah on the table until after you...
No, it says in halacha you're supposed to have the challah on the table. Whatever. You're supposed to have it there.
And
if multiple people are making Kiddush, is it better to wait till each one is done because they're making Kiddush to be over all the items that...
Unless if they have their own challahs, then their challahs should be covered.
Now regarding the challah, regarding Kiddush, if three men are making Kiddush, if they all pour their wine before the first does it, is that first Kiddush kind of covering all the wine?
No.
We make it?
No.
So they
Yeah.
shouldn't wait. They don't need
Well, out of respect, they should wait.
You have to have the challah you're going to make a mutzi on, or can you have other challah there and then the challah you're going to make a mutzi on you bring out when you're
It's
ready?
preferred to have it when you make Kiddush, the challah that... Huh? Both challahs. It's preferred. Okay, machen Sie das mal so mal machen wir mal ein Kimsch Lager Hotel. Kann man kaschen mit das gesagt so wie